Eagles. Eagles.
And for the second time in franchise history, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. JAKIB Nation, soak this one in. The Lombardi Trophy is officially coming back to the city of Philadelphia in one of the most dominant defensive performances in Super Bowl history. The Eagles shut down, suffocated, and flat out embarrassed their opponent on the biggest stage. This was not just a win. This was a statement. From the first snap to the final whistle, the Eagles imposed their will as they've done all season long. And at the center of it all, who's probably about to hoist his MVP trophy, is Jalen Hurts, the man who's had every single doubt, every single question, every single thing and hater thrown at his way. And he just led his team to a Super Bowl victory. He didn't answer the critics. He buried them. Sirianni's squad just delivered one of the most complete Super Bowl performances we've ever seen. And we are live on the JAKIB Postgame show to break it down. Let's talk about it. Drop your comments. Hit that like button. JAKIB Nation, we are world champions, baby, in the city of brotherly love. Big Sil's wearing that Kelly green. How do you feel, man, on this Super Bowl Sunday?
Without a doubt, one of the most dominating performances I've ever seen by a defense in a Super Bowl. They will go down, in my opinion, as one of the most accomplished, if not the most accomplished defense in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. They absolutely annihilated anything that Andy Reid, anything that Patrick Mahomes did. They ate him up in the football game. And let's not, there's two storylines here. That insane defense and Jalen Hurts in the football game on the offensive side. Saquon Barkley was shut down in this game. Jalen Hurts delivered in this football game like he did in the last Super Bowl in 57. But again, the two storylines, in my opinion, go down with this. That game was never close. It was easily probably the greatest performance I've seen in a Super Bowl since the 85 Bears dismantled the New England Patriots. That was an absolute ass-kicking from start to finish. The points at the end of the football game were really just, cosmetic. That game, in my opinion, you could put the argument out there that thing was a shutout because they absolutely shut that football team out. And I'll make this point to you, man. The way that they got after people, Josh Sweat was insane in that football game. And my God, is that guy going to make a fucking ton of money in the offseason. Milton Williams was awesome. Jalen Carter was awesome. Zach Bond, Vic Fangio getting his gold medal.
Vic Fangio, what a way to win his first one, man, isn't it?
Absolute insane performance that was. For me, this was the team that I thought couldn't and did. It goes down, in my opinion, covering the sport for 30 years, playing in the sport, one of the best performances I've ever seen in the biggest game in the last 25 years. In my opinion, they annihilated what was a team that was on the threshold of greatest. That game was never close. Josh Elliott was great. Special teams was great. How about this? In my opinion, Kellen Moore taking the head coaching job, congratulations to you. You did a wonderful job at delivering a Super Bowl. You did it, and you move on to the Saints, and you deserve it. Fangio, they completely outcoached Spagnuolo. They did. Spags and Andy Reid were completely outcoached in this football game.
Man, Sills, I can't stop smiling. We're going to get into all the topics. We're going to get into everything that happened. But, man, we don't see these often. And we are now officially Super Bowl champ. It still hasn't quite set in with me yet, but this is an unbelievable moment. Sills, has Jalen Hurts answered every single question? Look, I get there's always going to be that thing, but he's done it all now, man. He's going to be the Super Bowl MVP tonight. And now add that to the mantle in 4 years starting. I'll go as far as to say he's already the greatest quarterback in Super Bowl in Eagles history. And maybe you might be able to make an argument that Nick Sirianni is the greatest coach in Eagles history. In 4 years, they got 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl ring, 4 straight playoff berths. And by the way, the icing on the cake is he did it against the former greatest coach in Eagles history, against Andy Reid. What do you have to say about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni after this game?
Let me address Jalen here. I'll make this point to you. Jalen Hurts is exactly what Troy Aikman was to the Dallas Cowboys. He is absolutely a perfect fit. He's for the perfect marriage. Marrying that team up with him and asking him what to do and what they need him to do has absolutely been a true statement. And there's no question about it. How he goes into Eagle history now, he has done it 2 Super Bowls as the lead candidate at the quarterback position. Sirianni, on the other hand, would have to go down. I mean, as the greatest coach in Eagle history, having been to 2 Super Bowls, no other coach in history has ever been to 2 Super Bowls. You win one of them. On top of that, he superseded Doug Peterson. He's answered a lot of the questions himself. This really goes down as really a great testament to both Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, because again, you can make all the assessments you want. We're going to get Angelo on with us on Monday. He and I can make all the things you want. 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. That's a fuck you comment, dude.
Yep.
Thing with Jalen Hurts. That's a fuck you comment, man. Hey, whatever, guy. I've won more games than anybody, and now I have a Super Bowl ring and most likely the Super Bowl MVP. There's no doubt. He played the best football of anybody on the football field today, and that defense was just insane. I got to tell you, again, I know everyone wants to go on the side of Hurts, and he deserves it. I'm not dismissing it, but I can't tell you.
Yeah, I agree with what you're about to say.
Defensive effort of that football team tonight. I have never seen a football team dismantled like that in a team that had won so many Super Bowls and such an accomplished coach. Just absolutely. Have you ever seen Andy Reid dismantled like that in a championship?
I never have. And that's what I think makes this so much sweeter. And that's why I think you look at it and you have to say Sirianni's going to be the greatest coach in Eagles history, if not already the greatest coach in Eagles history. He just dismantled Andy Reid on the biggest stage. And by the way, the score is so deceptive. They had a big touchdown against backups in the NFL.
Bro, that thing to me is 40-0.
Yeah.
That's how I look at that game. I look at that game 40-0. Those
40-6 is how I saw it. Yep.
Sure, okay, whatever. To me, it felt like 100-0.
I know
the way that they played. I mean, how about Jalen Hunt?
Oh
holy shit! A guy who was a project at the beginning of the year was a factor in that football game. Tell you what, dude, that's one of the best performances I've ever seen in Super Bowl play. That's better than the 17 performance. I mean, you didn't dismantle Brady. Brady dismantled you for 500 yards.
Yep.
I mean, look, justice is justice. And I've always been a believer in this. When people prove me wrong and people go out and perform, that's when you give people their kudos. Whatever you say, whatever it is, there's a reason Jalen Hurts was drafted in the 2nd round. There's a reason that Hurts was a safety belt when he initially came to Philadelphia. Well, he's absolutely erased that. And now he is in the position where Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and all the rest of the quarterbacks outside of Mahomes is now chasing him. On the other end with Mahomes should have no shame in this. People get beat, man.
Yeah, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play.
The only difference is Brady was never dismantled like this in Super Bowls. So when that conversation comes up on who the greatest quarterback in Super Bowl history is, you can always hang 2 things on Mahomes' hat. You know what that is? Brady beat you in the Super Bowl and you were dismantled by the Eagles. I mean, absolutely. You had no answers for anything Vic did. Really a great performance by Vic Fangio, dude. I don't know how that guy's not being called for potential head coaching job. That was one of the most incredible turnarounds I've ever seen.
And how about something that we dubbed on your show, the National Football Show, in August, Big Sills, The no-holes defense. That is I believe that this defense, and again, I'm a young fan. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe now with hardware, now with the Super Bowl ring, this is the greatest defense in Philadelphia Eagles history. I really believe that. Number one in the league. And you shut down Mahomes and Reed in the Super Bowl. You had them in clamps, man. They couldn't do anything in that. That was the worst game I've ever seen Mahomes play in my life.
You don't have the greatest personnel in Eagle history on your defense because with Reggie and Seth,
yeah, I think that's fair.
With Eric Allen, but you have the best unit. That's the best unit because Zander, they went from the Green Bay game in Brazil to what they did for the entire season. It'll go down as in the Super Bowl. But this, I don't know anything about the 40s, 50s, and 60s on the Bednarik teams of the early 60s. I just know this, Zander, that's the best performance I've ever seen a Philadelphia Eagle defense perform in the game that mattered the most, which was Super Bowl 59. Just a tremendous performance.
How does this Super Bowl stack up with some? I mean, you said you've been to over 20 Super Bowls.
Yes.
Yourself personally in the building. How does this Super Bowl stack up with some of them? Obviously, like I said, I'm younger, but this thing was unbelievable. I'm watching this, so I'm on the halftime show. I'm watching in the third quarter. I'm like, I'm still in utter shock that I'm sitting here and we're beating the Kansas City Chiefs 40-6. It was unbelievable for me. And the team is out processing right now. They're going to raise up the trophy in a second here. So get ready for your pictures, everybody. The iconic moments are about to unfold, and Philadelphia Eagles will live in history forever. Jalen Hurts will live in history forever, and Nick Sirianni will live in history forever. But how does this game stack up for some of the Super Bowls you've seen?
I've been to the Super Bowl that the Bears beat the Patriots, and I was at the one where Reggie and that Packers team, they ended up winning a Super Bowl. And those dominant performances were just absolutely insane. I believe it was the Packers going on. I forget who they ended up beating in that Super Bowl, but they ended up just absolutely annihilating a team. And this was better. This is the best performance I've ever seen a defensive football team outside of that Bears team. Just absolutely get vindication of what happened a couple of years ago. Dude, the receivers never got open. Mahomes was how many times was Mahomes hit in the pocket? I mean, the internal pressure, the containment of keeping him in. And by the way, one notion now that has been put to rest, that a dual threat quarterback can't win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's been erased now. And
Completely
now you're
erased.
seeing that. And with Jalen Hurts making that and making really that history of a dual threat guy, Jalen history kind of puts that to bed now that a guy like that hasn't won a Super Bowl. Because, again, remember something. Mahomes is really not a dual threat. He uses it when he needs it. But this guy here, I thought Jalen Hurts' performance tonight, really, I mean, his passing and also his running. He led the Eagles in rushing in this football game with 72 yards rushing, 221. I thought he'd be around 20 or 28, Zander. He was 17 or 22. And there he was for 221 yards, probably around 70, 80 yards more than I thought he would get. 119 quarterback rating. Really, Jalen really put a great performance on, but that defense was absolutely, utterly insane. And they just shut that team down from day one. I mean, that thing was never close, dude. I mean, did you feel it was close, Zander?
No, it was never close. Let's get to John. Oh, wait, I'm going to see if we have John McMullen. He's going to join us by audio only right now, and we'll get to him later on in the show as well. But I do want to bring him in right now. Johnny Mac, do we have you, brother?
Yeah, you guys got me?
I got you. Sound good, Johnny Mac. John, just your first reaction, man. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions for the second time in franchise history, and they did it in unbelievable fashion. Your first reaction, Johnny Mac, to this one?
Well, the first half, I mean, the game was over in the first half. It was basically a coronation in the second half. You had some of those garbage time points for the Chiefs, but, I mean, the Eagles scored 24 points, and the Chiefs had 23 total yards in the first half of this football game. You know, you talk about, I said all week, 2 weeks, Zander, you can talk about me,
Yep.
and I'm out of breath because getting to the floor of the Superdome is freaking impossible. So when they talk about having Super Bowls here every 3 years, they should rethink that until they get a new stadium. Yeah, they should put that game plan in Canton. A lot of quarters coverage. Patrick Mahomes was seeing ghosts, tremendous pass rush, um, absolutely no blitzing. So it was all with 4 men. Everything he wanted, he got. They stopped the run. They didn't even try to run with light boxes. It was one of the most dominating performances I've ever seen by a defense. You talk about 3 sacks. You talk about 2 interceptions, the pick 6, and Zach Bond at the 12-yard line. Complete dominance.
John, unbelievable stuff. Jalen Hurts, John, was just named Super Bowl MVP. How much does this moment mean for him? A guy that's obviously, been climbing Mount Everest of, doubt and all sorts of things. His entire career going all the way back to college. How much does this moment mean to him? What did you see out there from him tonight? And he's going to be your Super Bowl MVP, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, tremendous performance. I do think they're going to give it, obviously, to offensive players. He had a tremendous game. I'm not trying to downplay it, but the defense won this game, but they're not going to give it to a defensive player. Josh Sweat, 2.5 sacks. Maybe if he got to 3.5 or 4, maybe they would have considered it. You can't give it to Vic Fangio, but the defense won this football game.
Yep.
The offense, nice complimentary football, but yeah, it was all defense to me.
Hey, John, how about this, John? Wouldn't you say that if you were going to put a performance up there, the last time I saw a performance in the Super Bowl like this was the Bears when they dismantled the New England Patriots and it was just constant pressure, and it was the defense and it was the offense making, like you said, complimentary football. Not taking anything away from the offense because they cashed in, but I thought the way that Vic Fangio called that, those interceptions, John, showed you.
Yeah, the interceptions were big. I got to wrap this up quick, guys, because I got to get to the locker room. But the interceptions were big. The pick 6, Cooper DeJean, 12-yard line, diving interception by Zach Bond. It was all – Patrick Mahomes' passer rating in the first half was 10.7. They did not get a third down conversion to the third quarter. Their largest offensive play in the first quarter was their first play, which went for 11 yards. Complete dominance. You go back to the Rams against the Patriots. Bill Belichick shut them down, sort of close to it. But we can talk about all this when I get back. But I got to get to the
real quick, one-word answer. Best team in Eagles history?
Yes.
Yes, love it. Johnny Mac, thank you, sir. There's John McMullen joining us on the post-game show. He'll be back later on. I just wanted to have John check in at the start of the segment here to get his thoughts. I knew he'd have some good stuff for us, man. Unbelievable. How about that breakdown of Vic Fangio's game that John McMullen just gave us on the quarters coverage and some of the other stuff he did? Because John said something that I saw too. Mahomes was seeing ghosts out there. He couldn't move in the pocket. There was times when he stepped up. The Jordan Davis sack seals, he stepped up in the Jordan Davis.
Bro, I got it. Once again, I get, and Hurts deserves it. I'm not saying that. Let me put him over here for a minute. The true just dismantling of that team was on that defensive side tonight. Everybody, Josh Sweat was insane tonight. Milton Williams was insane. Jalen Hunt, how about the way that they threw? When Mahomes was throwing right to people, that showed you what they were doing on post-snap stuff. To me, the storyline in that team and what they did tonight, I'm starting defense, and I'll go Hurts second. I'm telling you, man, that's one of the most incredible performances I've ever seen on one side of the football. They dismantled a quarterback who's a first ballot, probably consensus, Hall of Fame guy and coach. They outcoached him. They out-toughed him. They outplayed him. But, Zander, I go back to one thing I said. I said this. I don't believe that the Chiefs are going to be able to handle the fronts of the Eagles in this ball game, and that played out to be the determining factor. They were just tougher than Kansas City. Kansas City was a finesse team, and the Eagles were a dominant physical football team. And that was the play for 60 minutes.
Big Sales, how much does this mean for a guy like Vic Fangio? We just talked about it. He has had such a storied career, but rightfully so. Even you were like, well, Spags has 4 rings and Vic Fangio doesn't have 1. What an unbelievable way to do it. And what does this mean for him in terms of where he stands in NFL coaching lore?
Remember some of the feed and some of the kickback I would have on you all week was this. They haven't proved shit. Bro, that's gone. That conversation's gone, Zander. That shit's gone. All of that is not a talk. You know, if you're an old curmudgeon who fucking brings that shit up after, that's like saying after LeBron won when it won the NBA championship when he was in Miami, the guy doesn't have the clutch gene. That fucking shit is over with. Validation, vindication has been on display here. I said this to people years ago. When I said this about Lamar, I don't think that guy's going to be a quarterback that's going to be in this league in 5 years. He turns around and wins 2 MVP awards. Now you're saying, or I was saying, and many others were saying, that Hurts is in that same conversation. Well, guess what? The coach, the player, the defense, the coordinator. Hey, how about this? All of you who hated Kellen Moore, you know what he could say to you too? Fuck you. I gave you a Super Bowl. I'm on my way to New Orleans. Whether you liked it or not, the way it looked, do you care?
If I'm Kellen Moore, you know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing if I'm Kellen Moore tonight? I'm calling up the owner of the Saints, and I'm saying, you either need to double my purse or I'm going back to Philly, and I'm going to go win another Super Bowl next year. Let's talk business, brother. So that's
right, and I'm going to pick a better job than your shitty job.
Yeah, exactly, man. I'm going to go back to freaking Philly and get re-up that coordinator gig. Right. Let's get to a couple of our great – listen, everybody in JAKIB Nation, this was for you. This was for you. We are Super Bowl champions in the city of brotherly love.
Pretty awesome.
It's an unbelievable feeling. You don't
do you see any videos yet? Do you see any videos yet of Broad Street? Have you seen any of them yet?
It's going to be. I'm in the suburbs, Sileo. The fireworks haven't stopped since we've won the football game. They're outside my window. I'm surprised people don't hear them on the show. But for anybody who grew up in this city, for anybody who has been around this city, you know how much this means to this city. People eat, sleep, and breathe this football team. Still, their life is good when the Eagles win, and their life stinks when the Eagles lose.
Hey, bro, they're
champs for the second time in franchise history.
They're sending me 1,000 videos right now on my X account.
Oh my God!
People downtown going, "Fuck you."
I'm sure they are. I was getting so many of them. I was getting so many of them. Look, here's what I'll say. All right, because many people want me to ask you this, so I'm going to ask it, but I'm not going to ask it in the way they want me to ask it. You know, so many people reach out. Oh, you better crush Sileo. No, I'm not doing that. But here's what I will say to you: you have had a lot of doubt on this team. You have questioned Jalen Hurts. You have questioned Nick Sirianni. Yes. Is it all done now? Do you seriously look at these group and say, I can't question that anymore?
No. What can I say? What do you want me to say?
And that's why I love you, Big Skills, because you do keep it real.
Not you, Zander. Not you. What do you want me to do?
You're keeping it real.
Fight. What do you want me to do? Fight the truth? I mean, they won. It's over.
It's over, baby.
It's over.
It's over, baby.
What do you want? So wait.
Super Bowl champions.
So what do people want me to do? Jump on a dying hill? Why would I jump on a grenade?
That hill is dead. Yeah, there's C4 planted all over that hill, brother.
Zander, they answered the fucking call. For me to sit here and go like this, hey, fuck that. It was this and that. No, dude, it's over. You punched your fucking place in history. What do you want? I mean, what do people want me to say? Hey, Stills, okay, you did it. Congratulations.
I'm with Gary. You're one of us now, Sileo. Welcome to Eagles fandom, brother.
What I'm saying is, you did it.
We did it. We did it. No doubt about it. We did it.
Get this, folks. One thing you can always get from me is this. I didn't think you could. But I'm also telling you, you did it. I'm not sure what you want.
Unbelievable stuff. Let's go check in with a couple of our great people from JAKIB Nation. Everybody who's here, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much. Hit that like button for us. All super chats are going right to the fund where I will march my way and I will buy as much Eagles merchandise as I can, and I'll be giving it out like candy to the people of JAKIB Nation. So thank you all so much for all the great super chats. I love each and every one of you.
Hey, by the way, I do want to say this to all of you out there, okay? Congratulations. What a tremendous night in your history. What a tremendous night. Your franchise. You should revel in it. You should absolutely have a cocky attitude. You should tell people in the world to fuck you. You should do all of that.
They should tell you to fuck you. My brother,
Dude,
you're going to be getting a lot of
Philly. Hey, Philly, this is a fuck you moment.
It is. It is. And Sills, I love you, but I know you're going to be a recipient of many of those fuck you.
Right. Hey, you know what, though? It's one thing to do this. At least I got an opinion.
No.
And I'll tell you flat out, folks, one thing. You proved that opinion wrong. You did. I told you that. What did I tell you? You're right or I'm wrong. Tonight, you're right, and you move on. And all of that stuff about winning a Super Bowl, it's over with. Here, my take on Hurts now will be like,
elite. It's elite.
I believe he's Troy Aikman. And if you think Troy Aikman was elite, then so be it. I think Troy was an MVP in a Super Bowl too. And Troy delivered Super Bowls, 3 of them. And if you think he's elite, then I think of Jalen Hurts in the same light as I do Aikman. And guys, if you don't like that comparison, dude, that's 3 Super Bowls, a Hall of Fame, and a Super Bowl MVP. And if you don't like that, I'm not sure what else to say to you.
Dude, that throw to Devontae Smith tonight, that was an unbelievable
I thought it was great tonight. I thought he was better tonight than he was actually in 57.
Wow, interesting. Well, he didn't have the turnover, obviously, tonight. It was a little bit of a different game.
The turnover never mattered, though. In this one, the turnover mattered in 57.
Right. Jason A-Team checks in. MF elite. Sills eating crow. What an effing team. God bless the Eagles and JAKIB. Hurts MVP. Amen. Can't believe it. When I met Zander, this is a true story. When I met Zander, we both said we're going to have a parade on Broad Street. Wow, man, what a year. So I met Jason A-Team. I shook his hand, and I said, A-Team, I'll see you again out on Broad Street for the parade. This was back in December or November, late November. So that's a great story right there. Great moment from one of our
Absolutely. Congratulations, you guys. What a great, again, one of the best performances I've ever seen in a Super Bowl.
I need to hear you say that Jalen Hurts is elite.
I'm not saying that.
How can you not? He's a Super Bowl MVP. Put some respect on QB1's name.
So is Joe Flacco, but I'll just flat out tell you, I think that really he had a great night and he was awesome. He was. Really a great. I don't think Joe Flacco's an elite quarterback either.
Brian Pumper. All right, Brian Pumper.
Here we go, Pump. That's awesome of you, bro.
Awesome.
I love you, Pump. Pump. Way to go, dog.
That's dope. All right, so let's read what he says. Let's read what he says. He says, Jalen Hurts made me a believer. Once again, he proved me wrong. That MFer Vic Fangio is a damn beast. Milton Sweaty made some money tonight. Happy. Pump, you're right, man.
You're right, Pump.
Wrong. He proved you wrong.
Yep. Hey, Brian, that guy did a great job tonight. It was here's the winners of the game tonight. The Eagle defense, Vic Fangio, and no doubt Jalen Hurts. Those 3 guys were the centerpieces of that victory tonight.
All right, I got one more that's a winner. Okay, and you're gonna entertain this one. All right. Ben Fly says, Sills, can I get a?
Oh my God! I couldn't believe what I fucking saw. Like Dotson sighting. I saw you.
Dude, the first big throw of the game was the Jahan.
By the way, can I say this about Jahan Dotson? He made up for everything in tonight's game of him sucking all year. Did he not make up for it with the team?
A great trade all around by Howie Roseman.
I'm like, how do you win that?
Oh my God, that was unbelievable. We got another 100 burger. We'll get to thanks all you guys, man. All the super chats are going to go right back to the great people. We'll be giving away. I already texted my guy. I said, I need jerseys and I need the Super Bowl patch on those jerseys because they will be the hottest item in the city of Philadelphia. I'll be ordering my Super Bowl hat right when I get off the air tonight. Schmidt Degler checks in. Congrats all. We watched the best game the Eagles ever played tonight. Yep. And the doc said a little bit ago that my boy is doing good. Oh, you were in the doctor today. Okay, I got you, Schmidt. As long as he continues through the night, we can go home in the morning. What a great game by Fangio. Great year, my brothers. Schmidt, thank you, man.
Is the greatest game in the Super Bowl era that the Eagles have ever played.
Yep, no doubt.
This is what Zander, compared to the 17 victory, this is better because it was more dominant.
I agree 100%. In fact, I don't really think that they're comparable. And I think even more important, look, I love Nick Foles and that moment and everything that came with it, but To do this with
No
your
way.
starting quarterback and to with
way.
your team that was
No way.
built and that you root for and you cheer for and you buy jerseys for and you
Yep.
support through thick and thin, this means more to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just a
This was
prisoner
more
of the moment,
because
but
it was more dominating.
yeah, it was. It was much more dominating, no doubt about it. So unbelievable stuff, man. What this team has done. Revel in it, everybody. Take it all in. Consume the content all night. You guys deserve it, man. It's an unbelievable feat that they just accomplished, and they're on top.
It's
They
the
are
greatest
on top.
win, and it's the greatest win and biggest accomplishment, obviously, in Jalen Hurts' career.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first time he's been a champion since the SEC championship game. It really, I mean, now you start to add up the wins, the win percentage, the 2 NFC championships, the Super Bowl, and what he started out with a career. Now that he's put that Super Bowl there, he's the most accomplished quarterback now, in my opinion, in the NFC. He now takes over for Matthew Stafford. Is there a more accomplished quarterback in the NFC than Jalen Hurts right now?
No way. No way. Not even close.
Because
I mean,
that win stamps the wins. And
yeah, but it also, you know what it does? It also adds more to the Super Bowl loss even in 22, because now that you got one, it's like, all right, I've been to 2. It's one thing if you get the one, lose it, and then never get back. You're like, all right, is that really an accomplishment? Or you can take away from that. You go, you lose, then you get back 2 years later and you win and you do it in MVP fashion. I think that answers everything.
And how about this? Will we not agree that in both Super Bowl appearances against Mahomes, he was the better quarterback on the field? I mean, both. I mean, you could never say you could make an argument that Foles had a great moment in the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't say that Foles outplayed Brady in that ball game. I mean, he's
Brady had an unbelievable game. Yeah,
he's outplayed Mahomes in both ball games, and wouldn't you not say this easily? I mean, the 70 yards rushing has to be a Super Bowl record. I can't remember a quarterback ever gaining over.
Well, I think he had
yards.
70 and 22. Is that what you're talking about? What do you have tonight? By the way,
72 yards rushing tonight.
So I don't want to toot my own horn here. Wait, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but my prediction for Jalen before the game was what? 240 passing yards, 58 rushing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing. I was pretty close on that prediction.
17 to 28 for 221 and 2 touchdowns, 72 yards rushing. Dude, he was a better runner in this game than Barkley was. I mean, look, you know what happened tonight, really, Zander? They said Hurts couldn't beat him, and he did.
Yeah, he did it in a big way. He did it in a big fashion, too.
Because they stopped Barkley. Would you not say 25 carries for 57 yards is stopping Barkley?
Oh, that's more than stopping Barkley. And look,
Hurts beat him.
That's why I kind of thought, because I thought Spags, coming into this game, I'm like, there's no way Spags is going to just let this team run over them on their way to the Super Bowl. And they did a really good job, but it's clear. I think they maybe prepared too much for Saquon Barkley. They forgot that everybody else was on the team.
They didn't believe Hurts could beat them.
Yeah, they didn't, and they were wrong. They
were wrong. They got right. Well, that's exactly what happened tonight. They didn't think that Jalen Hurts could beat them tonight. But really, man, again, he played so well. The defense was the story in this ball game. That's the best. Gang Green, it's hard for me to say that this defense is better than Gang Green, but they got the jewelry now to prove it.
You know where this game ended, Sileo? This game ended when Cooper DeJean picked sixth Patrick Mahomes to go up 17-0. By the way, how about the youngster? 22 years old, first career interception, comes in a Super Bowl for a pick six against Patrick Mahomes. Oh my God.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, that they were just absolutely great. I know you want to hang on the Hurts tip, but I'm going to hang on that defensive side. And you're right to give Cooper DeJean his flowers too. Dude, the way that Patrick just couldn't see the coverages tonight. Were you not shocked with that?
He was seeing ghost, man. Seeing ghost.
I wonder what the pressure numbers were on getting to Mahomes. How many sacks did they have tonight? 5? The record was 7.
6 sacks.
So the record was 7 in the Super Bowls. Incredible. I mean, just an absolute great performance tonight. Dude, I really got to tell you, Josh Sweat was insane tonight. 7 tackles, 2.5 sacks. He was all over the football field tonight. I could not believe how impactful that he was in this game. Zach Bond, again, check this out. 7 tackles, 3 solos. He had a hit on the quarterback. Look at Sweat's numbers. An edge rusher, 6 tackles, 2 solos, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, and 3 hits on the quarterback. How about Milton Williams, the 2 free agents that are going to be out on the market?
They're going to get paid.
2 sacks, 2 TFLs, and a hit on the quarterback. 2 guys who you're going to have to decide on who you're going to keep, or if you're going to keep any of those guys, were enormous in this football game.
No doubt about it, man. Those guys made a lot of money tonight. This will be this will be a game that they remember forever because
you know what I'm going to love? This makes for an insane great offseason for us, because who are they going to keep? Who are they going to address? And who are they not? Because at the end of the day, Zander, I do not believe that they're going to be able to keep everyone.
Well, they're not going to keep everybody. There's always going to be some turnover. But if you prioritize who the most important guys are, you know, that might have changed based on tonight, because I think
Josh Sweat not the most important player on the field?
He was one of the most important defenders on the field for sure. But I don't think they keep him because I think he's older.
I agree.
And I think he didn't need problems. I think they're going to try and replace him with somebody else. Now, Milton Williams is an interesting one. He's an interesting one.
He's 25 years old.
I know, and he's playing damn good football, man. He was tormenting Mike Caliendo, tormenting him. And Zach Bond, you got to pay. You have to pay Zach Bond. You can't let him go. If you let him go, I think this defense is not the same.
Bro, he was so good tonight again. I mean,
you called the interception.
Would we not agree if there was a football player on this team outside of Saquon Barkley that played every week for the Eagles at a high level, at an A level, wouldn't it be him?
100%. He's been unbelievable all year. I think there's everybody
from
in the
first
NFL.
Snap, right? From the first snap.
It's amazing. Bond is must bring back. It's gonna be a great offseason. Here's the great news. We're gonna be Super Bowl champions all offseason, whether we sign these people or not. So we're gonna have something to be able to revel on.
Xander, let me ask you something.
Season long.
Let me ask you something as a Philadelphia guy. What does the second Super Bowl mean to you? Because I'll get a better sense of what it means to the city. What does that mean to you, Super Bowl number 2?
You know, I have an interesting answer to this, all right? This makes me want greatness more because it's the second one. Like the first one you win and you're like, for the first time, and it's amazing. It's an unbelievable feeling. Don't get me wrong. But going in 22 and losing and then getting back in 24, now I'm like, I want a dynasty. I want to win more. I don't want to be the team that doesn't have something to go back. We have Niners fans in our chat. We have Commanders fans. We have Cowboys. They always talk about this era, talk about this moment, talk about this team. I want that. That's what I want. I don't want one Super Bowl for the next 10 years. I don't want this to be the end of the road. I want Howie to put on his hat. I want him to have a better offseason than he had last year. And I think this team has a legitimate shot to repeat next year.
How about this one? Okay, you drop Sweat and you go get Garrett and you ensure that.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine this team?
Hey, if you're a free agent, are you not enticed to come to Philly to take less out?
You got to be. You got to. Look at this roster. I mean, seriously, look, let's give the Chiefs a little bit of credit. All right, great opponent. They've been on an unbelievable run. They deserve a lot of credit. 3 Super Bowls in 6 years, 5 appearances in 6 years. It's unbelievable stuff. But you watch that game tonight, even taking the result out, what's the team you look at and is like, they have a better chance to do it for a long period of time? I think it's the Eagles very clearly.
I think the Eagles have more question marks in the offseason than Kansas City does. They got Nick Bolton. You got all those other guys on defense that you have to answer in free agency still. So, again, your team may look different, Zander. Do I think so? You know what? If you're some of those guys like Sweat and Milton and Vaughn and some of the free agents like Becton, I thought Becton played well too. I thought that entire group, Chris Jones was a non-factor tonight.
Yeah.
He was a non-factor. And, dude, he was lined up over him the entire night. Did you see Chris? Did you?
No,
Chris
I didn't see. Oh, the only time I saw was when he was fixing his knee brace.
He was the factor in the last 2 Super Bowls. Did you see him tonight at all?
Chris Jones? No, I saw him on the sideline fixing his knee brace. I saw him going to the ground one time when what's his name had that drop, DeAndre Hopkins. Oof, that was bad. But Patrick Mahomes was just not good tonight. Also,
terrible.
He was terrible. I mean, how many missed throws did Patrick Mahomes have? I'm like, I tweeted out, is this the worst game Mahomes has ever played? This is brutal.
I've never seen Mahomes play so poorly in a huge game like that. I mean, by the way, I've never seen Brady play like that. I've never seen Tom Brady ever play in a game like that horrible. I've never seen Montana play in a game like that. My narrative changed a little bit on Mahomes that, dude, you laid an egg tonight.
And isn't this kind of the second Super Bowl he's done that? Remember that first one he had versus
against Brady?
Yeah, against Brady. That wasn't his greatest game either. And even the first Super Bowl they won, he wasn't that good. He laid
an egg in this one big time.
He laid a big egg in this one, no doubt about it. So pretty unbelievable stuff with where we are, everybody. Take it all in. All right, we're Super Bowl champions again in the city of brotherly love. Dan Sileo can't say shit. He can't say shit. There's nothing left after the NFC title game. You know what he said? We'll see. We'll see. Well, what will we see now, Big Sileo? I know what we'll see. We'll see a parade on Broad Street, a ring on our finger, and a championship trophy in the city of brotherly love.
And I say to you, congratulations. You proved Big Sil's wrong. Way to go.
You did. We did.
You did.
That's wrong.
You really did.
Certainly proved
it. And again, you did it in not only convincing fashion, you did it in dominant fashion.
Yeah.
Dude. Honestly, Zander, when that thing got up 21-0 or whatever it was, 24-0, my family goes, "You think this is over?" I go, "They're not coming back from this."
There's no way. I knew it too. I'm with you.
I go
halftime show.
And then my daughter goes like this to me. She's like, "Yeah, but 28-3. Don't you remember Atlanta?" I go, "Yeah, well, that ain't Atlanta."
Yeah.
I go, I mean, that's not going to happen over there. They're not dropping that, man. I mean,
let me ask you a question. What does this mean for you? All right. I know you're not an Eagle background guy. I know you're not an Eagle fan. I know you obviously Jerome is your best connection to the Eagles, but you've been doing talk radio in this city now for 5 years. You've been talking to the great people of JAKIB Nation. You've been talking to Eagles fans for 5 years. What does this mean to you? And it doesn't have to be personal for you, but what does it mean for you, this Eagles win?
It is absolutely a moment where that football team put on its best performance in the biggest moment in the last. Here, let me do this to you. Guys, you didn't just play your best football. You played your best football in the last 8 quarters. Okay? I want you to think about what you did. You put 95 points up on the NFC title game and the Super Bowl, Zander. I mean, you put up that many points. You put up 95 points in a conference title game and a Super Bowl combined, and you shut both teams down in the NFC title game, and you shut them down in the Super Bowl. It is, without a doubt, being completely objective from 30,000 feet, as many of you walk the streets of Broad Street tonight as Eagle fans. I'm telling you, that's one of the best performances I've ever seen in a Super Bowl. And you talk about the naysayers, Howie, Nick, and you got to go to the owner. The owner now must feel validated on all the shit that he has done by getting rid of Doug Peterson. This validates that. Doug's fired. Nick moves on to win a Super Bowl in his second NFC championship inside of 4 years. You know, you can no longer say this. You fired the wrong guy. Well, fuck that. Wait a minute. He just beat Andy. He's won 2 Super Bowls without Andy. The owner now had validated what he has done. I mean, look. When
you know what else felt a little
people justice on what they do when they accomplish what you said they could, and I'm not sure what else to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was a good breakdown. But you know what else felt sweeter to me in this game, Sills, was Brady calling it. You know, we got one against Brady, and he was calling it, and the Eagles got another way. I don't know. That was just one of the things I thought about him. Like, I love Brady too. I think he's good on the calls. I don't agree with a lot of people don't like him. I think he's pretty good on the calls.
I happen to think that Brady was rooting for the Eagles tonight to stop that three-peat, to do something that he had done.
Because you know all the GOAT conversations were coming.
Hey, Can I make a point here about the NFL officiating just for a second? Dude, you guys need to get some younger dudes in there who have better eyesight or some shit.
Yeah.
Because, hey, thank God the Eagles were so dominating in their performance tonight that it didn't matter. But holy shit, man. I saw phantom calls. I saw bullshit calls. That first call on AJ, that thing should have been – that was a catch. That was some bullshit they called
that was
on
a bad
him.
call. That was
And I was like, oh, then they turned around and they gave the Chiefs a bad call. And I'm like,
which, by the way, I think was even worse.
it was. And I'm like,
the AJ one was bad, but you could see why they called it because it was the hand.
yeah, because it went to the face.
Right. So you saw it wasn't a good call. It was ticky-tack, but that Baker call was brutal. Anyway.
I thought that they were going to call the game loose. And it really, Zander, they could have had an extra official out there. It wouldn't have